Today, guys, we have a good friend of mine here on the range to do some shooting, and we want to talk about our personal defense firearms that we take with us on the road. In case you don't know who he is, this is Mr. Guns&Gear, and like I said, I've known Mike for years.
Yep.
And you know, we watch each other's videos, and he's traveling cross country, and when he got here to my house, I immediately asked, you know, what do you carry while you're on the road?
Right.
And it was an interesting conversation that we had. We thought we'd shoot a video about. So let's jump right in, man.
Sure.
What do you have with you, and what do you carry while you're traveling?
So I recently got back from being out west in bear country, so that impacted the decision here. However, this will likely be a travel gun going forward anyway. But what we have here is the Dana Defense DD-M4 V7P, so P standing for pistol. It's got a 10.5 inch, 10.3 inch cold hammer forged barrel, 300 blackout. This is the Dana Defense Wave can on there. Trijicon MRO red dot and SBA 3 on there. It comes with this model does anyway. They make both with the Law Tactical folder, so that way I can fold it up in a nice compact package. Take the suppressor off too if you need to with the quick detach mount. But and of course the white light on here, Crimson Trace with the M-LOK mount. But this is a nice compact package, 300 blackout depending on ammo selection. Gives you a lot of capabilities. Whether or not you want to be quiet, you want a little bit more penetration than you can get with 5.56, whatever the case may be. And it's easy to shoot. I'm with my wife. She's relatively tiny and has no issues at all shooting guns like this well and quickly, which is exactly what you want should you need to use it. We have our dogs with us as well, so those things are bear food. So we want to be able to stop that if it was a threat. But yeah, so that's what I went with. It's a great gun. I have a full review of the actual pistol on the channel. It's never had any issues. It runs fine, suppressed or unsuppressed. So it's just been problem-free, which is exactly what you want.
What's kind of interesting is this is one of the 3D printed models of the DD suppressors, and aside from the texture that you can see, you know, people will probably have questions about, you know, how well does that thing hold up? Is it just as durable as a traditional manufactured can, that being not 3D printed?
Sure. So I obviously can't answer that. I haven't done any destructive testing on it. However, from what I've seen, yes, it seems to be they're using proprietary materials. What's cool about it as well, being 3D printed, is that you have no sleeve on the outside. So all the volume that you get, you get all the volume that you can out of it, because you don't have to have that. You don't have to have welds. You don't have to have any of those things that take up space, which is nice. But yeah, it's been good. We actually had the first problem with it ever here before we were shooting the video, just checking zero.
He's on the Mac range, so everything breaks.
Problems, right? Exactly. So once I got this in, the first thing I said, I think I said it on an Instagram video, is that I wish they had wrench flats here on the mount, because this is a quick detach system. They also make a direct thread. But we were zeroing it, and I was just checking to make sure it was tight, and twisted it, and it actually twisted off on the threads there, even though I put Roxhead on there. So I don't know how the heck that happened. But anyway, it did, and there's no wrench flats. So right now, until I can fix it, it's essentially a direct thread can. But it's fixable. It's just not out here right now.
Just got to make sure it's, yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. You know, people consider you to be the AR guy. And
yes.
You like other firearms, but you've become something of an expert with AR-15s when it comes to different modifications. I mean, on the live stream last night, you knew exactly what weight buffer, with what rifle, with what suppressor,
barrel. Yeah.
what barrel length, and that's stuff that's like, because I don't get into that technical side.
Yeah, I do. I geek out on it, actually, so yeah.
So if you ever have an AR question, check out Mr. Guns&Gear for sure. So here isn't going to be a surprise to many that follow the channel, is my little get-home gun, and this is a Sig Rattler in 300 Blackout. So we agree in the capabilities of the 300 Blackout. I did actually do a video talking about this and the full contents of the bag that I carry it in, but this is the bag that I carry it in. So it looks somewhat discreet. You can't tell that there's a pistol in there with the brace, and 4 magazines, a little extra spare ammo in a box, and just various essentials they may need if I have to walk a little bit of a distance, sure. Should, you know, my car die on me or whatever. So the way this one's set up, let's go ahead and extend the brace, just double check that, make sure she's empty. But, you know, I haven't really changed much from the Sig basic configuration. So it has an SB tactical brace on it, has just a standard ambi factory charging handle, T-handle, and this is one of those things I can't stand.
It's proprietary.
So it's not only proprietary, but it's the one universally hated feature of the AR-15 is the T-handle. It's like the grip safety on the 1911.
Yeah.
Why would somebody put a modern grip safety like the XD? Because it's the universally hated part of that gun, you know?
Agree.
So, but it comes at least now with an ambi charging handle. Some earlier versions of the MCX were not ambi. I believe they're all ambi now. Now this is the really cool part. This is from A&R. It's the Anvil Yukon mount, and this has a Trijicon RMR sitting on top of it, and it has built-in iron sights. The front post is adjustable for elevation, and it's a very coarse sight picture, but it's a backup sight that allows you to co-witness through your RMR. So it's going to give you a very coarse sight picture, but it's going to get you on target in a CQB situation where you're going to be, you know, possibly in a fight for your life at a very close range. This little rough, coarse, short sight radius backup sight isn't going to get you to 250.
No, but it'll get you in a chest.
It'll get you center mass.
Right.
Get your center mass in a bad situation. Out on the end, I have an OSS Helix, but this one's one of the titanium models, so it's a lightweight, full-size 30 caliber can, so I get great suppression out of it with the subsonic ammunition. And it is a flow-through design, which means it's not overgassing the gun. I don't have to put it on its suppressor setting. I don't have to, you know, regulate the gas on it, I should say, because Sig at one point said that this thing wasn't suppressible, but apparently it is now, even though I don't think they've changed anything. But it flows through, so I don't get a whole lot of gas in the face, and I don't get increased bolt velocity, because this thing out of the box is grossly overgassed to begin with. So you don't want to put a baffle can on there and shoot it a whole bunch, because you can beat these things to death. And that's based upon stuff other people have done. I can't say that from personal experience. That's just what I've read. So it's, you know, it's disputed. I don't know if it's actually true, but I do know that the gun from shooting it is pretty well gassed.
Yeah, the OSS cans are impressive. I've had really good luck with them as well. I have the non-titanium version of that can. And
they can be a bit heavy.
And yeah, it's heavy for sure, but the lack of back pressure really is impressive. And on 30 cal guns, especially like a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 308 AR10 style gun, it makes a big difference. You don't have to have an adjustable gas block and run just fine. So they're very cool. A little bit louder. I'm sure you've done some decibel testing with it than some competitive options, but the human ear, generally speaking, isn't going to pick up 2 dB difference. No,
it takes about 3 dB for us to pick it up.
Right.
But which is a doubling of the sound pressure. But if you take a look at the OSS, if you meter test it at the traditional 1.6 meters off the ground, 1 meter left, it's extremely noisy, but that's not where you are. So if you meter test it 6 inches off the shooter's right ear, because all the gas goes down, a lot of people mistake that the gas system of the rifle is the part that's being overgassed. Yes, it does have higher gas pressure because of a baffled can, but most of the gas that comes back into your face and causes port pop, which is what will ring your ears, comes back down the barrel. OSS allows that gas to vent into what looks like a jet turbine engine on the inside. It swirls those gases, lets them cool, then vents them out the front. So it's half suppressor, half sound diverter, because what sound it does create shoots it down range, and yes, sound can be directional. So it works really, really good. If you're behind the firearm, it'll actually meter better at the ear than a traditional baffle can, where a traditional baffle can will measure better. I'm trying to put measure and better into one word. Will measure better at the muzzle because it's restricting that gas flow, but that gas that's not coming out the front is coming back down the barrel into your face. And so overall, the biggest difference between these two, besides the fact I don't have a white light on it, I have one in my pocket and I really do need to find one. I've just never found one I liked on the gun so far.
Right.
The biggest difference here is cost. What are you looking at for a rifle or pistol like that? I will stake it because it's braced.
Right.
But without all the MROs and stuff, what's the base cost?
Street price for the V7 without the folder, because they make both. Without the folder, again, street price is like 1,500-ish. With the folder, bump it up about 200. It's not inexpensive for sure. It's a relatively high cost AR variant.
Right, but I mean, Daniel's Defense has always been one of those companies that charged a premium for the stuff, and they manufacture almost everything in house.
Almost everything.
So yeah, they
even the polymer.
Oh, so they're even doing their own polymer now.
Yes.
Yeah, so I know that they were moving that direction. I know they're doing their own barrels and all that stuff, and that costs money. On this thing, you're looking at, I just got online to check prices, and you're looking at about $2,100 on average. If you belong to some buyers clubs and stuff like that, you can get that down to $2 grand. So this one's, a good $300 more expensive than that as a base model. And so The other thing that you might have to worry about with the Rattler is the fact it only has a 5.5-inch barrel,
Right.
which takes into consideration the length of the chamber. In reality, I'm working with about a 3-inch barrel. But I think you guys will be surprised what I can do with a 3-inch barrel using supersonics out of this thing. And it kind of defies the basic rule of, which I've been told for years, a bullet needs to make one complete revolution in a barrel to properly stabilize.
Yeah.
And we've all heard that.
Yeah.
And this breaks that rule by a wide margin and still stabilizes the bullet sometimes, because I've a friend of mine that owns a gun shop and is a SIG dealer had 2 of these that keyholed with and without supers.
Yeah.
So supers and subs keyhold. So you just don't know.
Right.
But I've had really good luck with mine. I love this thing.
Yeah, I haven't shot one, so this will be the first time.
I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to like the anvil mount, and I think the ergonomics are a little bit off. I will admit this pistol grip, which it can be replaced,
Right.
is a bit goofy, but it's meant to be very small and compact because this was developed by SIG for a military contract to be used in tight quarters, most namely vehicles and things like that for special operations of a foreign government.
Right.
So, which is an ally. So just so you know, they're not selling them to the enemy. But anyway, so yeah, let's do some shooting with these things and see how they compare, because you have considerably more barrel length than I do.
Yep.
And let's see if that makes a big difference in terms of stretching the legs out, because we have up to 250 yards here and we have some 100-yard ringers, and we'll play with some supers and possibly some subs.
Absolutely.
All right, let's pull some triggers. Today, some of the ammunition that we have out here is some Fiocchi 125 grain ammunition, and you can see what that looks like. It has a ballistic tip on it. This ammunition shoots really well out of my SIG, and that's why I shoot it. Now, 300 Blackout, I know some of you guys are going to disagree with me, but Mike agrees with me based on his experiences, is that 300 Blackout does goofy things. Most guns are very ammo specific, and most guns aren't minute of angle accurate, and certainly not sub-minute. So if you're going to run 300 Blackout, you need to test a bunch of different ammo in it to see what's going to run your gun reliably and give you the best accuracy. So it just seems to be a little bit more fickle than your average caliber, like 308 or 5.56 and stuff like that. So I'm going to start off shooting at 100 yards. Now, this thing is set up primarily for subs. When I have it in the backpack, the 20-round magazine you see in the gun right now is loaded with subsonic ammunition. So right now I'm shooting supers, so I'm going to have to adjust my hold accordingly to get hits on the steel target at 100 yards. But let's go ahead and show you what this little guy can do using just a red dot sight at 100. I mean, that's a respectable group. I mean, it's amazingly capable. I'm going to burn my bag with my suppressor. It's amazingly capable. And again, guys, we're talking about 3 inches of barrel if you don't count the chamber, which makes it 5.5 inches overall. The barrel stops right there. It's a tiny, stumpy little barrel, and this particular Rattler gives me stellar performance, what's made me madly in love with the darn thing. So I'm going to go ahead and let Mike grab his pistol, and he's going to do a little bit of shooting. I'll go down and reset the target here by spray painting it, and you'll see the difference in how this thing compares to an AR in the same caliber.
Before we start sending rounds down range, we're using the same ammo that Tim was just using, and this is 125 grain Fiocchi. I did not use this when testing this pistol out. However, I think I tested 4 or 5 loads during my review. All of them, except for one, shot 2 to 2.5 inch groups at 100 yards, but the Fiocchi didn't shoot so well. It wasn't this load, it was a 150 grain load, but this one, preliminary testing hasn't been shooting that well, but we'll see. Exact same setup, same rest, target downrange at 100 yards. We'll see how it does here. Of course, a much longer barrel as well with a very different twist rate. One thing just from being here and watching Tim just shoot and now me shooting, I would say it's hitting the plate with a little bit more authority here with that added barrel length. So it's favoring a little bit left, and the group actually looks a little bit bigger as well. I think honestly it's probably just this load. It just doesn't like this twist and barrel length for whatever reason. Who knows? With 300 Blackout, like Tim said, you really do have to try a few to see what it likes. Still hitting with some authority out of a compact package, which is what you want for this type of gun, in my opinion.
We're going to try some Hail Marys. This is the Fiocchi 125 grain supersonic loads out of my 5.5 inch barrel, which really isn't 5.5 inches because it's taking into account the chamber. And we're going to see if with the red dot sight, I can engage and effectively hit at least a couple of times a IPSC kill zone target at 250 yards.
That's actually a pretty good group.
What's that?
That's a pretty good group.
Yeah, so the answer to that question is yes, resoundingly. So now the question becomes, out of that little stumpy barrel, how much energy does it really have, right?
Probably not much.
Probably not much, but the fact stands that this little tiny barrel, and this whole gun defies logic in my opinion. It does so many things that defy conventional wisdom, yet pulls it off. And again, that's what, you know, kind of endears me to Sig products. They really are kind of forward thinking, and this is a perfect example of it.
So I'm not really sure where to hold here again with this ammo, the 0 that we currently have, but we'll give it a whirl here. Got 10 rounds, again, same Fiocchi, and we'll see if we can make contact.
Solid hit. Yep. Left edge.
Now that, kids, was some Kentucky windage. We were, we were holding, if this was the torso, I was holding about here on it. So once I saw that first round, after that we made the adjustment. But yeah, that's a 0 issue, not a gun or an ammo issue. But yeah, we got some hits with it for sure. But
yeah,
as you guys saw, Tim was able to get hits too with that stumpy little barrel. So
it defies logic, it really does.
With supers, you can definitely push it out there.
So we've definitely had a good time out here shooting these two pistols this afternoon. And yeah, it was fun going from 100 to 250, both with the supers and the subs. Not such a good mix with the subs.
No, the results weren't so great.
But the supers still delivered the goods. I was actually, to be honest with you, surprised that this Sig with its short barrel was still capable of putting accurate aimed fire on a kill zone target at 250 yards. I didn't expect that.
With an RMR, which I love RMRs, but they're definitely not the clearest optics either.
No, they're
not for this type of shooting.
They're either CQB handgun type sights. Right. They fishbowl really bad, so you don't have very good peripheral vision. They have a small lens on them, unlike something like a Delta Point, for example. Right. And they don't have the best light transmission, I guess would be the way to describe it.
Right, and you wouldn't notice it, you know, up close and personal, but if you're looking at a relatively small target in the sun, 250 yards out, yeah, you notice it.
Things start to wash out.
Yep.
But despite that, the little guy, I was pleasantly surprised at the results. And
Agreed.
The notion that you have to have one full revolution in a barrel to stabilize a bullet obviously has been proven false in this particular case. And I'm not making a general statement. I'm just saying with this particular setup, this crazy little pistol does things I didn't actually expect.
Agreed.
So what did you learn anything new about your pistol, or you just kind of knew that already and you were just out here having some fun?
Yeah, I kind of knew it already. I shot it out to, I think, 420 yards in my video and was able to get hits. I think that was a 12-inch target I was hitting in my video. And with the right ammo, it'll do it. You know, you don't need to be MOA to get those kind of hits. And obviously the wind has to be your friend there as well. But yeah, you can stretch these out with the right ammo and the right setup for sure.
So I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I personally think the 300 Blackout is a very versatile caliber, very versatile cartridge, lots of different choices of ammunition out there. I would agree with Mike that it's not inherently accurate, and you really have to find the right load that works with your particular firearm to make sure that you're going to get optimal performance out of it. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
No, I mean, I really can't argue with it. The one downside outside of that is that, you know, currently anyway, 300 Black's a little bit expensive, but every year it seems to keep coming down.
Yes, I would agree with that. The price is slowly coming down, so you can actually afford to shoot it. Plus, there's plenty of reloading information out there for you guys that save your brass and do reloading.
Absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Well, how can people find you on the YouTubes and the interwebs?
Sure. So it's YouTube/user/MrGunsnGear. It used to be just MrGunsnGear, but YouTube does what they do. And then Facebook and Instagram /MrGunsnGear as well. It's at N, not a and.
Yeah, see, I always screw that up. I always put and. It's in, Guns in Gear.
There you go.
All right, guys, thank you for 11 years of support. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, a great way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. There is a link down below. Also, swing by and check us out at coppercustom.com. And last but not least, we are Twitch gamers, and if you would like to join us on a live stream on the PSN Network, become a Patreon supporter, send us a note with your PSN Network name, and I'll add you as a friend, and you can join me and sometimes even Jason on a live stream. Again, thank you for 11 years of support, guys. We'll talk to you soon.